Hello Novelicious viewers, I'm back. I'm in Ali Harris's writing shed. It's a completely different day.
And we changed out. We didn't think that through.
But we are here and we are having a little bit of a different focus because we want to find out a little bit about Ali Harris's writing process and whether we can steal anything from the way that she does things that we can put into our own writing lives. So Ali, you've written obviously a vintage Christmas and ebook, you've written lots of novels, and The First Last Kiss was your last, very complicated book. Give us a bit of a glimpse into your writing world.
I am a plotter, but only by default. I think I learned that actually that was the only way I was ever going to finish a book. I think naturally I want to just sit down and start writing and for it all to just flow and the characters to take me in whatever direction. And when I tried that before I was published, the direction it basically took me was not to the end, ever. And actually it sort of, but I always felt like that was the best way to write, so I do think that's the way that I naturally want to write. But when I actually got my book deal, the reason I think I got my book deal was because I had to write a chapter-by-chapter synopsis of it because my publishers were interested in it after 15 chapters. I was really lucky to have sent 15 chapters and then for them to be, well, I got my deal based on 15 chapters.
Wow.
And a synopsis for my second book, which was The First Last Kiss. I'll get to the point in a minute.
Yes.
So I then had to write a chapter-by-chapter like synopsis of the rest, and it really, really helped my writing. It just focused me. It meant that every day I sat down and I knew what I was going to write. And yes, things changed along the way sometimes, but I think as a writer it's really hard to, particularly if you're not published, to impose deadlines on yourself. And so you end up just spending hours and hours writing scenes over and over again and spending hours constructing sentences, which I have learned, the ones that you've spent hours over are the ones that get binned anyway, because they're the ones that don't read naturally. They read like they've been agonised over and that you've had to search for words. And
so do you write sort of scenes from anywhere? Do you have that outline? Are you like, oh, I'm in the mood to write?
No, I am really
right,
methodical.
Okay.
A bit of a control freak. No, I do write beginning to end.
Right,
although with The First Last Kiss, that order got changed, so what you read at the beginning wasn't what I'd written at the beginning, because I wanted to write that story chronologically so that I knew the characters really well, how they developed up until the end, but I knew right from the start that I didn't want it to be a chronological book, so then I moved everything around, and sometimes that left gaps and meant that I wrote an extra chapter. I write certain things at the end, so with The First Last Kiss, the blogs that are at the beginning, was that giving away something?
No,
okay.
it's fine.
The bits at the beginning of the chapters I wrote completely at the end, and in my third book I have something similar that I have written right at the end, and I love doing that. It's the thing that when I want to add the detail and more emotion and I'm completely free of the stress of trying to get to the end of a book, that's where my best writing comes.
Fabulous.
And actually I change a lot on the edit, so I find that a lot of my really good writing comes once the whole structure of the book is there, because that's the bit that I think I really battle with. I don't know about other writers out there, but I feel like just getting a story down is the most important thing, and everything else you can add afterwards. And
yeah, so what kind of, do you use any process just to get that down apart from a chapter outline? Is there anything that was
frying coffee? No, I mean there isn't. I kind of have an idea of what I want the chapter to say, but then sometimes just a new chapter pops up here and there, and I tend to overwrite quite a lot. I don't think it's something to be proud of, but I do tend to bin quite a lot at the end because I have written way more than I need in any book, and I've not ever quite got that down, so I'm not going to give any advice about about that.
But it sounds like you're very open to the idea that the first draft perhaps disappears and don't worry about it, and does that help?
Do you know what? I read this quote once by Ernest Hemingway, which I read once out at
very fancy.
I'm very fine. I'm very well read. And it said, and it made me giggle, the first draft of anything is always shit. I just thought, yes! Because, it's that thing of, you are being bound by all of these strands of stuff that you're trying to kind of juggle. It is like plate spinning, trying to make sure that the plot is all weaving, and sometimes it's only at the end that you can go, oh, I get that bit now, and you can go back and weave all that through. And that's how I work, and that's when the kind of best stuff comes. Also, I often have I can't really move. So I tend to put things up on walls, just chapters all on different things so I can see them and then visually move them around.
Yes.
That's
it's just seamless, this. Right, well, that's fantastic. That helps us all out. So I hope you get something from that, whether we can start moving around scenes, but certainly the first draft is to get it down, get it written. And
just start and get to the end.
Get to the end, like
one
this
word
interview.
at a time, one word at a time.
Brilliant.
And they never stop.